Welcome all of you to Track C, where we're going to be focused on the changing marketing mix this afternoon. We're going to jump right into that with harnessing the revolutionary power of AI. And I'm thrilled to introduce Jaysen, Gillespie, and Leslie Leifer.
Yeah, so this is about AI, which is a serious topic, about marketing, which is a fun topic. So we're going to have a little bit of seriousness, we're going to have a little bit of fun. We will start, though, with a moment of levity here. And this isn't coming up on the monitor, so let me just look out here. So when you think about search, and probably because we have a room full of marketers, a lot of you use search fairly extensively. Legacy search, it's like a parking permit. If you've ever had a parking permit, that's not a parking spot. That's the right to search for a parking spot. And here's an example. List examples of things that usually have a wait list. What did Google come back with? And this is real. I didn't Photoshop this. It's not AI generated. It's right from Google. And it's an absolutely vivid example of why legacy search is not working for you and for many people. The screen is mostly blank, waste of real estate. It gives you one link that's not very useful related to colleges. And then it gives you what other people search for and what they also ask. And even worse, what other people search for includes what is a wait list in a restaurant. My 6-year-old knows what a wait list in a restaurant is. No sane human should even be asking for that. Do you really want to get information from the same person who's asking what a wait list in a restaurant is? Probably not. What's different about ChatGPT? Apologies on the formatting here. So that is the actual answer that came back from ChatGPT. And if you have incredibly good vision, what you would see is a really well-formed list of things, such as high-end restaurants, medical treatments, top-flight colleges and universities. And you would say, wow, this is the answer that I really wanted. This is so much better than what Google gave me. They must be a little bit worried about this. And indeed they were. And that's why it was a red flag event for them and sort of all hands on deck.
And I don't know about you guys, but if there's a wait list at a restaurant, I get takeout. So anybody else with me? Come on, people. We need to have a little bit of enthusiasm going on here. Now, we know you are listening to, what, 100 sessions so far on AI? Anybody else going to go to an AI session yet today? OK, they are sleeping. Get a pillow.
Who gets the pillow? Yeah. You guys, let's wake up here. I know it's 3 o'clock.
We don't have enough pillows.
We don't have enough pillows for all of you.
All right, so we know there's a lot of sessions, and a lot of sessions about AI. And so our question for the group here, because we love shows of hands, because it shows you're awake, is how many people who have actually used ChatGPT in the room? All right, we can go home.
OK, thank you.
We've all used it.
It's been fun.
All right, so how many of you are using it at work? Wow, pretty good. So a lot of what we're going to talk about today is how is it used in work? How is it applied? How are different ways that we can use it either with partners that we're going to be working with technology, with imagery, with just day-to-day tasks. But our goal is, by the end of the session, you're going to know what this is. Does anybody know what this is in advance? And if you say it's my finger, you're wrong. All right, by the end, you're going to know what this is, all right? It doesn't mean you have to stay around till the end.
Great, so let's talk for a second about AI, because you're going to hear those letters from now until the day you die. But really, if you think about it, there are two main types. There's predictive AI, which is where you're trying to predict something. Will someone click? Will they come back to your website? Will they make a purchase? Will they die tomorrow? All sorts of things. If you're an insurance company, that's critical. Then there's generative AI. And generative AI is getting all the hype and hoopla right now because it's cool and it's visual, and that's what ChatGPT is. And it's actually generating something. You've seen images. We're going to show some examples here. This is an example that combines a little bit of both, but it's designed to show you, for example, how predictive AI works. You have an image, and you want predictive AI to understand what's in that image, specifically which president of the United States. And the way it works is by starting at the very detailed level with completely unstructured data. And that's the magic of predictive AI. It takes a fire hose of information. It doesn't require a development team or data engineering to organize that information. It takes that information in, it processes it, it takes a lot more computational power, but it's able to predict things of interest to marketers. In this case, it would take George Washington, and it would take pixel by pixel, and then it would start to form components that are groups of pixels, such as the edges or combinations of edges, leading to features such as the eye or the nose, and eventually the light would turn on that says George Washington, not Donald Trump, not Barack Obama. The other ones would be dark. And that's an example of predictive AI and why you see it a lot when you're looking at image recognition, self-driving cars, applications that really require you to understand what's in an image. You'll see that in things like ChatGPT. If you feed it an image, the new multimodal version, which is GPT-4, it can identify everything in that image and give you a recipe based on a picture of your refrigerator. That's that same technology at work there. Leslie, maybe you could talk about how this comes into your world in marketing and some examples that we see on the generative side.
Absolutely. And imagery is as important when it comes to AI as ChatGPT, information, knowledge, and processing. Because when it comes down to the imagery, I don't know about anybody else, but my creative team, when we submit 39 creative requests, and they're all due tomorrow, they want to kill me. So in the world of constant changing, different audiences, segmentation, so many different conversations and topics, and people with different goals, how do you keep up with that? The goal is, how do we use AI and ChatGPT and Midjourney in order to help us get there and do that? And so that's a lot of what I'm focusing on myself is, are there ways that I can use this new technology as I'm moving forward, whether for marketing purposes, for on-site creative purposes, et cetera, to change the copy, to change the imagery, in order to be more appropriate based on who my audience is, based on what I'm trying to accomplish, or what that customer is trying to accomplish. So obviously, we had some fun with this, because we would, and I'm sure you've seen the Pope walking around with a puffer jacket before, because he does it every day. It's really, really cold in Italy. But the goal here is to show you that AI is not limited to ChatGPT, to creative, to one thing or another. It's only as limited as you are. It's only as limited as your thought process, what your customers need, and what you are looking to accomplish in your day-to-day or in the future.
I think that's a great point, and it was echoed by a keynote this morning, that AI is going to accelerate things for marketers because you have problems pulling all your data together. You have problems with creative assets. They could be visual or text-based, and now there's AIs to solve both of those problems for you, which is going to allow marketers to do much, much more experimentation. If you think about having an infinite number of heads on your creative team, that's essentially the kind of world that you're able to move into when you employ these AI tools. A great use case, which was actually done by Leslie's company, was the dad joke generator. As a dad, I use this at least 14 times. So appreciate it, Leslie. I'll turn it over to you to talk about that.
Only 4 times. He's got to step it up. So from 1-800-Flowers, we obviously have a lot of different brands, but our goal in life is to engage with you and help you connect with the people in your lives. And as you do that, how do you do that? You don't only do that by buying flowers, but buying cookies, by buying pears. You do that by engaging with them through great card messages, through just reaching out and sending a text because you remember it's someone's birthday, whatever that may be. And so what we said was, we're going to start small. How do we want to start? We're going to start by thinking about how to add a little bit of value, a little bit of levity into our customers' lives. And so we went really simple, because why would you go complicated with day one? It's the worst thing to do is to go too far, right? So we started simple. So for Mother's Day, what we did was we did the mom verse. And the mom verse was create a song, a limerick, a rhyme, a poem about my mom. And I was going to say, is it my mom, my aunt, my grandmother? So you had all these different choices. And then from there, you were able to go into and say, did I want a poem, a song? And now let me tell you some things about my mom. And it created these really, really cute songs, poems, limericks, etc. We went a little bit further with Father's Day. We said, dad jokes, right? Who knows a good dad joke? Anyone? He knows a dad joke. Tell us one. What rhymes with Chaz?
Arms for chairs, chairs for arms.
Oh, I'm not a dad. I don't get it. Anybody else?
I just flew here, and then the dad would come back. Are your arms tired?
Now that is a dad joke.
That's very
You'll
bad.
have to explain to me yours after because Dad, I've got to work on it. All right, so dad joke was born. Again, a way to interact with their customers, a way to engage. Again, a simple approach, but you don't have to go really far and really deep. It doesn't have to be the most complicated. I don't have to hire RTV House today. I can hire them tomorrow and do something simple today. He'll help me later. But this was how we started our process.
And that's a great example, I think, of using the generative technology that comes with ChatGPT, weaving it in. I did this, I sent it to my dad. He may have gone to the site, used it a few times, and it can spread on its own. The viral nature of these very small, lightweight apps can be extraordinary. On a somewhat more serious note, back on the predictive side, which is really where we focus at RTB House, is we're going to predict things like who's going to purchase, who's more likely to purchase through the exposure of an ad. And one place where deep learning and these neural networks will really help you as marketers, they are much better at driving incremental sales. You've probably all used technologies that drive a last click sale or an attributed sale, and those techs all work. But they work because they're designed to drive a last click or an attributed sale. They have no notion of what would have happened without the exposure of the advertisement. Deep learning is very holistic. So it understands, on the one hand, what happens if I show ads to people, and on the other hand, what happens if I do not show ads to people. And those are the building blocks of incrementality, because one must understand the difference between performance with and without exposure. So that's kind of the side of the world that we work on. It's a little more behind the scenes. It doesn't necessarily grab as much attention, but it really delivers where it matters, which is the pocketbook, when you need to drive sales.
So back to me. What else can we use this for? Obviously, marketing is one of the answers, but so many different components of marketing exist. It starts with our data. How do we help improve our data? So we've got a description here, and we have a lovely image, a picture of someone, I'm assuming she's selling the dress, I'm assuming. There's lots of ways we can use this data and this information. So can we use ChatGPT, Midjourney, et cetera, in order to improve this, and make our lives easier? And again, I'm not going to say solve, I'm going to say help, because the goal isn't to replace everything we do with AI. The goal is to get AI to help us accomplish our goals. So here's our description, here's our product. So how do we go to the next step? So we could use AI to do lots of things here. We can say to it, give me a different product description for this product if I'm trying to target a millennial. Give me another description if I'm trying to target X. Give me a description if I'm trying to use it in an email. Give me a SEO title tag for this product that has to be 125 characters long and include my top branded keywords. It goes on and on and on. You can even take this data from every single product description you have and put it into the system and say, give me the following in a spreadsheet format. I need a title tag, I need 7 keywords, I need X, Y, and Z in order to get this to rank. Will it work? Maybe, maybe not, but it depends how well you ask the question and how well you understand what you're looking to accomplish. And that's the big question for all of us in this room, is how do we define the questions that we need to ask and the answers we're looking to get in order to be able to use the data in the way that's going to help our customers, ourselves, as well as the overall goal of our corporations.
And if you look at what Leslie and I have done, these are real examples. That was a real product. I think it was from Forever 21. And if you look at how it picks the descriptions, and sorry, it's a little small, so I got to bend down here. But it went from get ready to turn heads to elevate your executive style. It actually picks the words based on the personas of interest. So the other thing that's really helpful, again, splitting it between sort of predictive and generative, on the predictive side, you're dealing with things like ad frequency, kind of very mundane, but very real-world topics. You don't want to spend your days and nights thinking about ad frequency. Ideally, you want to push that to the side, have an AI that handles all that for you, so you can focus on other problems, bigger picture sort of issues, et cetera.
So further what we were talking about as we're going into all these different elements, again, it's what you're going after. I've done a lot of things using AI. I've asked it to tell me a scary story. Yes, I have. I've asked it to design a ranch house in the style of XYZ with great greenery, et cetera. I'm not using it for my house yet, but I've used it for doing a lot of these things. So it's not really a one-size-fits-all versus a generative, predictive or generative. It's what is right for that conversation at that time. And I think as we move forward, we're going to realize that generative is going to solve more and more of our challenges day-to-day in-house. But it's not always going to be the same answer, right?
And generative is new and hot now, but AI and deep learning neural networks have been around really for decades. The computational power is what has changed, and that's why large language models, custom chips made by companies like NVIDIA, you're hearing all of that because it's that increase in computational power that has really allowed this to take off. So what do? What are some tips to sort of turn this into practice?
All right, step one. This is where you guys take notes. These are very, very tough things to start. All right, step one, get started. If you haven't started already, you should have started. How do you get started, right? You get started by using it, playing it with it every day, asking it a random question and seeing what it does. Change how you ask the question. Join different technology groups out there, Shelley Palmer, et cetera. Learn how to use this different technology and figure out what it could do for you or for your customers.
Two, you are probably not going to want to reinvent the entire AI software ecosystem. For that reason, there are a lot of partners out there. There's generative partners like us at RTB House, predictive partners. There's generative partners like Midjourney, ChatGPT, of course, DALL-E, also by OpenAI, that you'll be able to use and explore. And it is an outstanding time to do that because the world is flush with all these startups and innovative companies that are going to want your business. They're going to give you free trials. They're going to want to get you hooked on their system. So it's a great time to be out there exploring the ecosystem of AI partners. There's probably a lot here at the exhibits, for example. And three,
use your resources. You guys have really smart people who all work with you. Create teams of groups to start having brainstorming conversations about how you could use this technology, what you could do, how you could help them make their jobs easier, how to evolve into that next area. You have to get started, and you have to start using the resources you have. It's not just buying something, finding something. It's about this. Remember we talked about this at the beginning? So did anybody ever see the movie City Slickers? Oh my God, I'm so showing my age. I've got a few hands. All right, so City Slickers, cute movie, gotta watch it. Billy Crystal, so there's a cowboy in the movie, his name's Curly, and Curly goes like this. The secret of life is one thing. Now we're not talking about the secret of life here, we're talking about the secret for lots of other things, but he said it's this one thing. And so Billy Crystal says, all right, so what's that? Give me the answer. I'm not here to give you answers. I'm here to give you information. The way you figure out what that is, it's different for every single person. It's different for every single company. It's up to you to figure out what that one thing is. What's your biggest problem that you're facing right now? What's your biggest thing that your customers are trying to achieve and can't achieve? What's that one thing? Once you figure out that one thing, that's where you should be focusing on how to use some of this technology in order to support you achieve that goal. If you try and do everything at once, you're not going to get anything done. So take the time, sit down with your teams, figure out what that one thing is, and that's where you start. So we have 31 seconds left, which means we get at least 2 questions. Does anybody have a question? Ooh. Really? That either means we're really, really smart.
We got one hand over here.
All
Yeah,
right.
you got 16 seconds. Go. Tools you recommend to start with was the question.
So I actually was talking to Jaysen before this, and I said we really should do a test together this summer. So we are going to do something together this summer. But again, I'm not going to tell you what tools because you got to figure out that first, and I'm going to lead you down the wrong path.
I think that's fair. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much. Have a good conference.